can you talk about what you talked about with me while we was off the air just jamming with about all these bands, underground bands, because God gave me a vision this morning about all these underground bands. They have a message. Like your band, y'all have a message. If we can get y'all from the underground to come up to the, where everybody's at, can't the word get out more? I mean, to the millions of people. I know we're listening, a bunch of people is listening, but y'all rock. But you're still underground. If we can get the bands like Regardless of Consequence and some others, I mean, I know y'all competition, don't get me wrong, but if we can work together to minister to the lost and hurting world, what do you think about that?
Yeah, like, well, yeah, like I was saying before off the air, we want to create, relationships with other bands and stuff like that. I got that echo effect. We want to create relationships with those bands. To be honest, I don't ever see this divided world. I mean, underground is kind of an interesting word because we exist in the underground, and even now within that underground, we're in the underground of the underground. But because of the genre we've chosen, the most that we'll ever be is the top of the underground, and I think that's pretty safe to say for most metal bands in general. There's just before you were playing Pillar or whatever, and they're like, I guess you would call them hard rock or something like that, and there's a few other bands like that, and even within the Christian realm, I've heard somebody just say some interesting stuff about them, and to me that's like I would play that, if I had a kid, I would play that to put the kids to sleep or whatever. But yeah, I don't think we're not really trying to get crazy big. I mean, I would love that, but it's just the genre in itself. It has constrictions, but I mean, what I'd love to do is just to kind of, like we were talking about, band together and, this is another legit Christian band. All right, let's hook up. Let's become friends. Let's support one another. And, to just create that sense of like fellowship and community that I feel like the world has, their fellowship and community is, hey, we finished a tour. You want to smoke up? You want to crack a beer or whatever. And, They have that sense of community and stuff like that, but it's so hollow and so empty and it's so temporary. After that beer's gone, that dude's not your friend anymore. But for me, if I play if we played a show with a band and they were like, hey, we're a Christian band, and I saw that they were legit, we would have everything to talk about. We're going to be in eternity together, so I might as well like that dude. But as far as the world, and going back to that or whatever, yeah, I would love to see it, man. I think you're a part of bringing this to the masses or whatever. But our plan, is it's really smaller than that, to make like individual relationships with people, and somebody comments on one of our pictures, we comment back, that might mean more to somebody than someone, going out of their way and buying them something crazy or doing something crazy or taking them on a trip or whatever. Just that little, like, man, it mattered to them that I like their band. So yeah, what was the original question? The other voice that you hear in the background is your dad. Yeah. He's an awesome guy. Just looking at him, you have Christ in your heart. Yeah, I'm proud that you lived out your salvation like you did. I got a little bit of profit in my life, so I got to be careful how I speak to people. I'm not going to go into the more details what I do on my profile, but the election's coming up, and that's a hot topic, and we try to not go into that subject on the election. For sure.
There's many of people that's going to vote in the wrong area.
Yeah.
There's a choice of being good and being bad. I can't judge a person. That's not our job.
Yeah.
But just to network and just talk to that person about Jesus. I mean, purely, you can see there's something spiritual about this election coming up. Can you discuss about the spiritual aspects of this election?
Well, I'm not saying that Jesus is rooting for Republican. I'm not saying he's rooting for Democrat. As far as what I know about it is, to even reduce it to two choices is, if Jesus was here, who would he be voting for? I'm not really sure he'd be voting for anybody. He'd be telling everybody, hey, I'm having church in the park. Come join me. You know what I mean? So, as far as for me and who I put my hope in, it's who's the president, it's totally irrelevant. My hope is not in anybody. As far as it being spiritual, I mean, of course, everything that you do, even walking down to the grocery store is you could make an argument that that's a spiritual thing. I don't really speculate a whole lot as far as Revelation and the end and all that is concerned. I would just say we're getting closer to the end. Regardless of whether we think we're making a better or worse choice for who our president is, the end is going to be violent. The end is going to be destructive. I'm not sure. I haven't decided whether I think Christians will or won't be here for the rapture and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. But I've definitely come to a place. You can learn a big lesson in small ways, and I was just talking with a guy a few weeks ago, and we were talking about Democrat and Republican and stuff like that, and it was funny, just a good fun conversation or whatever. But it's not. I don't know if it's a better or worse. It's really two evils in and of themselves. All I know is the kingdom of heaven is perfect, and so you kind of got to balance it out. I would, maybe this is a controversial thing too, I think I could vote for somebody that I feel like would be a better president, even if they didn't have the same convictions that I had in personal beliefs, because let me put it in a real situation for you. If your house was on fire and you had the choice between two firefighters and one could put out the fire and one couldn't, and the one that couldn't put out the fire was a Christian and the one that could put out the fire was not, who would you choose to put out your fire?
That's true. The one that can put out the fire.
Yeah, so that's kind of my thought on politics.
That's a good thought. I'm going to have to use that later on my personal. It's 6:01 right now. Well, I was about to say 5:01 since our interpage says it's 5:01. We're going to take a little short break. I know this interview is not done yet.
Yeah.
Because I feel that we're going to go into the next hour. For sure, like you said. We have one more song from you. I have no idea what it is. Let's go ahead and mark it as a surprise on ACR.